Coming up, the coelacanth, whose story started 380 million years ago. A zoo in India conducts a summer camp for baby elephants. A rarely seen megamouth shark has been washed up on a South African beach. The only rescue dog to die in the September 11 attacks has been honoured in New York. And the Australian pig lady. For Chinese researchers hiking in the remote mountains of Shaanxi province, meeting a panda in the wild was a rare opportunity. After tracking a trail of panda feces, they came face to face with a full-grown male panda who didn't seem to be afraid of human beings. They were able to get within a metre of the animal and offered him a handful of bamboo shoots. The panda, who seemed to be about 14 years old, happily sat near one researcher and chewed this unexpected meal. Pandas living in the wild normally avoid contact with human beings. Researchers say sick pandas may occasionally move close to human settlements to seek some form of help. This particular panda had a chest wound, half hidden by his thick fur. Researchers say an angry female panda may have inflicted this wound during attempts to mate. The researchers prodded at the wound with a stick and jokingly put a military cap on the panda's head, which he then used to scratch himself. There are probably fewer than 1,000 pandas living in the wild in China, and it often takes years for scientists to spot a single panda in their natural habitat. For this team of scientists, this was a chance in a lifetime to study a panda in the wild. After this strange encounter, the panda fell happily asleep on a full stomach. I know the feeling. Minister Dr. Ben Ngumbani launched the South African coelacanth conservation and genome research program at Sodwana Bay on the KwaZulu-Natal north coast, at the site where a coelacanth was discovered in November 2000. This is regarded as a living example of how evolution has managed to bring a species of fish through millions of years. Scientists are amazed at how flexible and adaptable this fish has been, for it to have survived the assaults that killed other similar species. The coelacanth is significant in terms of history, dating back to the dinosaurs. Nicknamed Old Forelegs because of its extra limb-like fins, the coelacanth was believed to have been extinct for 70 million years, until one was caught in 1938 by a trawler off South Africa. That catch stunned the scientific community and was widely regarded as the zoological find of the 20th century. Coelacanth was subsequently discovered near the Comoro Islands, but South Africa's remained a secret until late 2000, when deep-water scuba divers came across them by chance in Sodwana Bay off the country's northern coast. Amazing what you find when you're not even looking for it. Summer camps for baby elephants? Yes, that's exactly what authorities of Nandankanan Zoo in India's eastern Orissa state are doing. 4 orphaned baby elephants are being trained by a special team brought in from neighbouring Assam state. The elephants are trained so that they perform according to the wishes of the mahout, the elephant driver. Then, when they're older, it's easier to adapt them and utilise them for various jobs. All 4 Asian elephant calves have traumatic pasts and were brought to the zoo after being rescued from different parts of the state. Hira, Mary, Janaka and Shankar are being taught to obey instructions from their human masters, besides learning to share a bathing pond. The director of the zoo said training was part of a rehabilitation package to prevent the calves from turning into rogues. The elephants, once trained, are to be utilised for patrolling purposes in remote areas in the forests. the prevention of depredation by wild elephants, and for various purposes like departmental welfare, logging, transport and removal of grass. Asian elephants, numbering about 45,000, live in 13 countries in South and Southeast Asia. Nandankanan Zoo also houses a botanical garden, and part of it has been declared a sanctuary. The zoo is famous for its white tiger population and enjoys an international reputation for successfully breeding black panthers, crocodiles and white tigers in captivity. A rarely seen Megamouth shark, unknown to science before 1976, has been washed up on a South African beach. The 3.5 metre, 300 kilogram female is the first Megamouth to be discovered in southern Africa. It washed up on a beach about 400 kilometres east of Cape Town. It was only the third female to be discovered to date. Only about a dozen specimens, mostly males, have been found since the animal was discovered off Hawaii in 1976. As its name suggests, the shark has a massive mouth, but it's harmless to humans as it's a plankton eater. With blue skies and the skyscrapers of Lower Manhattan as a backdrop, hundreds of police officers and their canine partners gathered to pay their respects to the only rescue dog to die in the World Trade Center disaster. It was a memorial service on a scale befitting any fireman, police officer or other fallen hero from September 11. To the K9 Police Department, Sirius was a hero. The 4-year-old Labrador, with his handler, Officer David Lim, was on sniffer dog duty as normal at the World Trade Center when the planes crashed into the towers on September 11. With a ceremony usually reserved for human police officers, all the machines were stopped, all the work ceased, and officers, along with David Lim, carried Sirius out in a ceremonial fashion. Sirius died in the basement when the towers collapsed. Officer Lim had left him there so he could help rescue people from the burning buildings. The most emotional moment for David was the unexpected presentation of Sirius's steel dog bowl. Recovered at Ground Zero by the FBI, the law enforcement agency had the bowl engraved with the words, "Sirius, I gave my life so that you could save others." Officer Lim now has a new canine partner, Sprig, who has very big paws to fill.
Well, I think they're probably more intelligent than a dog. And
Some may say the Park family of Gisborne, Australia are a bit unusual for keeping pet pigs in their home. Their 3 pigs, Lucy, Oliver and Lily, live the easy life, spending much of their time like humans, munching snacks in front of the TV set.
Lily, come on.
They even have their own bedroom. Nearby residents, however, said enough was enough when the smell and noise of the park pigs became too much.
Come on. Good girl. Quickly. Come on. Lily.
They recently called on the city of Gisborne to ban them from keeping pigs in their home. But the city tribunal ruled the parks didn't need permission to keep their 3 pigs at home.
As far as the
Owner
house goes,
Maggie
it's just
Park
another-
insists the pigs are like any other pets. Maggie says it's just a matter of common sense. The pigs aren't dirty. Now that reminds me of somebody, but I just can't remember who. Oh, by the way, this is the pig's bedroom.
I'm so strict with pig permit.
Sweet,
We don't
isn't
need
it?
any sort of permit. We do-
So it's back to the TV set for Lily, Lucy and Oliver and life in what may just be hog heaven. I wonder what her favourite program is. Maybe not reality TV. Crowds of Mexicans flock to the centre of the small town of Otumba to cheer on a parade of donkeys dressed in costumes during a traditional festival to honour the hard-working animal. The burro, often associated with stubbornness and many times underappreciated as a workhorse, has never really received its due. But for the past 40 years, the people of the small town of Otumba have recognised and paid homage to the animal for its hard work and endurance in the fields with the Festival of the Burro. The festival has been celebrated since 1965, and it's become bigger each year, with people from 5 different countries represented. The burro celebration begins with a polo match on burros between 2 local teams. The participants play with broomsticks, knocking about an oversized ball. Some of the players express that burros are really good workers and they're very smart, even though people might see them differently. After the polo comes traditional dancing. The final and most popular event of the day, the parade, presents the burros in their costumes. Several asses are dressed up as popular Mexican personalities. The burro is a popular and idiosyncratic figure in everyday Mexican life. It often appears in editorial cartoons characterizing Mexicans themselves. Otumba, located 60 kilometers northeast of Mexico City, has approximately 10,000 inhabitants who devote themselves to agriculture and commerce. Maybe they should stick to doing just that. Come summer, and across the vast expanse of the Indian subcontinent, the heat takes its toll on humans and animals as well. Unbearable day temperatures hovering above 40 degrees, combined with high humidity levels in India's eastern Jamshedpur city, is prompting zoo authorities to make special arrangements to keep their inmates cool and prevent heat stroke. Enclosures are being covered with jute and straw padding, and special care is taken of endangered wild animals. The animals are bathed early in the morning to bring their body temperature down, and their cages are padded with cooling material to give them more relief. Attendants maintain watch over animals' behaviour patterns and spray water over them at regular intervals to cool them down in the aggressive heat. High-velocity fans blow cool air inside cages of lions, tigers and leopards. Most animals are also being given access to natural water bodies like ponds and canals. Many of the zoo's restless carnivores, the most vulnerable species to heat stroke, are being given anti-stress medicines and injections by veterinarians. Oh, thank you. A little bit too much information there, if you don't mind. Who's going to cool the humans off? Millions of monarch butterflies have arrived in Mexico, completing their annual migration across thousands of miles. We saw recently how these butterflies had mysteriously perished during their journey, but here, I'm pleased to report, is the successful culmination to their arduous trip. After a 3,000-mile journey across Canada, the United States and half of Mexico, the monarch butterflies have begun to arrive in Mexico, even as the government there cracks down on illegal loggers. Destruction of the monarch's winter habitat has caused international alarm in recent years and spurred Mexican President Vicente Fox to institute measures to reduce illegal logging in the area. It's thought in some circles that the logging in some way is connected to the recent death of millions of the monarchs. At least 50 environmental inspectors and federal police officers patrol the area's roads and forests to prevent illegal chopping down of trees. Local sawmill owners believe the environmental measures are hurting their industry and increase poverty in the area. But some area residents think business owners have a short-sighted view. The government has also provided economic incentives to local landowners to discourage the felling of trees and combat regional poverty. The annual ritual involves the massive migration of millions of monarch butterflies, which leave the freezing Canadian tundra to settle for the winter in balmy refuges in the mountains of central Mexico. In spite of constant scientific efforts, the spectacular migration remains a mystery to scientists, but it's a fascinating spectacle to tourists who visit the reserves so that they can view the creatures at a safe distance. To colder climes now, and elephants at Berlin Zoo could hardly wait for Christmas to be over. They traditionally receive leftover trees, which makes for a welcome change to their diet. With temperatures around freezing point and a light snowfall, the Berlin elephant population was more than happy about the special feed. Since the autumn, they haven't had any fresh branches, and during the winter, they don't get any wood either. The elephants not only enjoy eating the bark, but seem to take pleasure in breaking the discarded trees apart. For years, Berlin Zoo has been receiving Christmas trees from nearby vendors who were unable to sell all the pine trees by the evening of December 24, the day Germans celebrate Christmas. Most Germans decorate their homes with real pine trees and use real candles rather than electric ones. This is all irrelevant to the pachyderms who find great pleasure in devouring the greenery. The llamas, a few pens further down from the elephants, were also given a few trees, and in comparison to the elephants, they graciously nibbled on them. Berlin's elephants and llamas are happy that every year more trees are chopped than are actually sold. The wild and beautiful land that is India, with its contrasting vistas and magnificent scenery. Millie and Sweetie, two female red pandas who were bred in captivity in the Padmaya Naidu Zoological Park in India's Eastern Hill Resort Darjeeling, were released in the wild recently. The two pandas were earlier soft-released into the Singalila National Park 3 months earlier. Soft release is when animals are kept within an enclosure large enough for them to roam around so that they gradually acclimatise to their surroundings. Buoyed by the success of the Project Red Panda, which was started in 1986, officials of Padmaya Park are preparing the ground for the release of captive-bred Himalayan salamander, Himalayan tahr, and Himalayan munal into their natural habitat. The red panda are mostly found in a mountainous stretch from Myanmar, Nepal, China, through eastern India and Bhutan and Laos. The red panda is one of the most endangered species in the world. There are about 2,500 of them, and their number is declining. We asked the red pandas how they felt about going back to their natural habitat after being captive for so long. However, there was no comment. but I know that it feels really, really good. Over 200 domesticated elephants have gathered in northeastern Thailand for the country's largest jumbo festival. Thousands of people descended on the Thai province of Surin for an annual elephant show which is thought to be the largest of its kind in the world. With over 200 elephants dancing, playing ball games and showing off their painting skills, Surin's annual roundup is a well-loved celebration of Thailand's national symbol. The show's highlight is the reenactment of the 16th century Battle of Nong Sarai, during which King Naraswan of Ayutthaya drove off a Burmese invasion by defeating the enemy in elephant-to-elephant combat. During the show, men dress in traditional costumes and the elephants are clad in armour as they engage each other in mock battle. Surin, which lies on the Thai-Cambodian border, 450 kilometres northeast of Bangkok, has long been a national centre for elephant training. Most of the elephants that gather with their mahouts for the roundup were born and trained in Surin, so the event has the feel of a family reunion. Traditionally used for warfare, transportation and agricultural work, Thailand's estimated 4,000 domesticated elephants are now largely performers and tourist carriers since their use for logging was banned in 1989. The show both celebrates this history and shows off the skill of Surin's elephant trainers as the pachyderms perform tricks, take part in traditional dances and paint T-shirts for bidding visitors. Started in 1960, the roundup has now become one of Thailand's biggest tourist draws, as thousands stream to the town each year for a chance to get up close and personal with Thailand's tuskers. With the chance to stroke, feed and even ride on Asia's largest animal, visitors were not disappointed. As jungles dwindle and populations grow, most of Thailand's elephants live in captivity. Thai elephants and their mahouts have a unique relationship based on centuries of history and training. The show also featured a parade of the babies born to Surin's elephants that year, including 10-day-old Anurak. That was another day in the life of Animalia.
Maja